Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video now on your Strada Avanti. This is the silver one. So we're starting with the bonnet. Got your engine battery over here on the left hand side. You see on the side there it'll say starter on it. Then you've got your brake fluid up here in this reservoir attached to the servo just up there, and a cylinder underneath that. Oil for your power steering fluid, also basically it is your power steering fluid just in there. Engine oil gets topped up in this bit just here, and then you can actually check your engine oil from this dipstick with the yellow top just down here at the bottom. You've got your engine coolant up here in this reservoir, so you can see there just where it's moving, right there between the minimum and maximum line. The engine's cold, so that's where you want to test it as well, because obviously when you start getting it warm, it'll start going up a bit higher, so check it when it's cold. So that's all good. Obviously it's had its recent MOT and service, so all of that sort of stuff has been checked and topped up if it needed to be anyway. Your air filter literally sits underneath here. There's just 3 of these, so you literally pop that down. Just 3 of those, one there and one there. Air filter, nice and easy to get to. And your washer fluid is this one just over here on the right. To actually release the bonnet to open it up, just under the steering wheel, just down here. Handbrake just down here on the right hand side, so just be careful of that when you're hopping out of the van. It does hurt if you catch yourself, I promise you. So the center console, really we've got a couple of bits and pieces. Hazard lights just there in the middle. All of your fan control settings are just here. So you've got air conditioning in this van. A lot of the Stradas go for that because they're a nice high spec van. So yeah, aircon from that switch just there. Obviously that'll only work as soon as if you've got this dial up on 1 or above, and if you want to try and clear the windscreen, obviously use that. And obviously where the air goes is just on this left hand side, sorry. You've got a single DIN Kenwood head unit, which does also sort of fold down like that, so you can see it's a nice sort of it's not a very new one, but it is quite a nice quality one. Kenwood being a really good brand for that sort of stuff. You've got a 5-speed manual gearbox. Reverse is down to the bottom right, and obviously first through to 5th in the normal way. Indicators are this front stalk just here, and turning on your main beam lights is this one at the back. So if you wanted to flash the lights, you pull forwards on here, but indicating is this front one. Washers and wipers are obviously on this right hand stalk. A couple other bits, we've got your lights, main lights switch, so that's side lights, main beam and off. Headlight tilt is that one just there, and you've also got electric adjusting mirrors, which by the way for this age of van is like unheard of really, in my experience. So left and right, and obviously this is a factory fitted thing as well, so choose which one you want to move and then basically just turn it like a joystick. Front and rear, sorry, that's just a fog light there and heated rear window, but the heated rear window will not work obviously, because the original rear window isn't there anymore, because it's been converted into a motorhome. Otherwise I think that's about it for the cab. You've got electric windows just up here, which again on this age of vehicle is kind of hard to come by. Next thing really is your freshwater cap. So if I just show you that, you can take that out. I will just lubricate that in a minute. You basically push in and round to the right to get that to sort of lock in place, and then key goes in, turn it one way, and then it'll stop it from moving. Got your boiler vent just here. So if you want to do, there's a couple of ways to drain the boiler out. Sorry about the noise. I'll show you how to drain it out from inside in a minute. But if you want to actually properly drain the boiler all the way out, you put a big flathead screwdriver in this down here and just turn it around to the left. Once you've got that all the way out, it will sort of squirt out at you and stuff like that. You then put it up here and turn that one a little bit until that pops out, which is your little air pressure release valve, and it'll allow all of it to come out from top to bottom. This is a little vent here for your heating, so when you've got your heating on, you have a little bit of heat coming out the bottom of this, just basically as an exhaust for that. Toilet cassette locker, so if I just open that quickly, the toilet cassette sits quite far in here. You got a fresh water flush on this, so you don't have to worry about any flush fluid or anything like that. take the cassette out, just literally pull it towards you, and then the only thing you really need to know is when you empty it out from here, you need to hold down the little yellow button at the back. But other than that, put it all the way back in, close the door. Right, behind the back door, just double check there's nothing I need to show you. Well, I suppose there is a couple of bits. You've got the back of your fridge is here, so I've got the fridge lit up on gas at the moment. So the flame basically just sits inside this little box, and then you've got a little exhaust here at the top, which Strada have thought about and giving you little vents inside the back door. So when you close the door up against it, it's it's okay to be nice and hot there. Your ledger battery sits down here, so that's where that is. I will sort of push that back over a little bit because it's just managed to move its way over. But yeah, so that's all nice and easy to get to if you ever needed to. Obviously, like I said, we've gone through it and made sure everything's okay. It has had a recent habitation check as well, so everything should be okay, or at least it's okay to our knowledge. Try and make it as good as we can. Let's close this door over. I'll close that back up properly in a minute. Hookup point, obviously there you can see I've got a hookup cable in the van at the moment, and that's just to allow me to have the battery topped up all the time. It's handy if you can do that every now and again, regardless. Just make sure that's there now. Yeah, so it's handy to be able to do that as often as you can, because that way your ledger battery will keep up to power, and you won't find it sort of draining out or anything like that. Your gas locker, you've got a really good sized gas locker in this van, so you've got space for 2 of these 6 kilo propane bottles if you wanted it. So there's one in here at the moment and it is full. So to turn the bottle on, you go anti-clockwise around to the left, and turning it off, it's clockwise around to the right. Make sure that you switch this off before you start driving, absolutely 100% of the time. Otherwise, if you want to replace the bottle, you literally unscrew this and then put it onto your other bottle, screw it on. So that's it. That is honestly as simple as it gets with the gas locker. I'll just show you your fuel inlet. So to get this open, this is where you put your diesel in. Push on the left hand side and that'll open up like that. Ignition key goes in there, turn it whilst holding it, and then it'll come out. Nice and easy. Your wastewater drain, when the wastewater gets to a certain level, it will start coming out from here when you open it up. Until it starts coming out, I wouldn't worry about it. It just means it's not very full. So yeah, it's nice and simple. But that's where your wastewater drain is. Like I said to you, I will show you where your freshwater drain is, and also where your drain is for your boiler, or your secondary drain for your boiler, sorry. Control panel on the van is nice and simple. So you've got a main on and off switch over here on the left, pump, and I think this basically gives power to your electric on your fridge. So if I just switch that on now, there you go, you see it lights up. So that's that. So basically when you come into the van, you can just turn all 3 of these on. Once you've done that, you will have access to using all of your light switches around the van. So there you go, just got another one over here. Where are we? There you go. And another one up top, which, by the way, at night, these 3 lights alone are plenty to actually keep you, it's really, because it's not a very big van, that's plenty of light. You've also got a light in here. I'll show you that, like that. So, that's that. So, the control panel, like I said to you, is nice and simple, but basically you want to turn these 3 on when you come in. This light here is telling me the hookup cable's plugged in. That light there is telling me there's plenty of power on the leisure battery and the habitation battery. If I press this button here, it tells you that you're so that button there would normally tell you where how your leisure battery is powered. So that's, when I'm pressing that in, that's just basically telling you there you've got full power in that. And then if I press this bottom button in, it's telling you how much fresh water is in the tank. So you see over here, got about half a tank of fresh water. so that's that. So you've got a couple of bits up here as well. You've got a 240 volt plug socket, which obviously that'll only work when your hookup's plugged in, and a 12 volt socket just there to the right of that. So without trying to make too much of a hassle, I'll just move these bits out of the way a sec. The bed on this van, and we've had another Strada in quite recently, they're so simple and so easy. So literally, to make it work, you just literally need to, if you want to make the bed wider, first off, you pull this little lever up and the entire thing comes out towards you, and then this little bit at the back here folds down. All right, once you've done that, so actually I'll put that back away, just so that's just me showing you that it comes across, so they're pushing it back like that. When you want to lift this front seat, lay it out forwards, you push down on this lever and then literally pull it up. So I'm just going to put you down a sec, just so that I can do that, because I need two hands. Pull this cushion up like that. So once you've done that one, that's sort of folding over like that, you've got access to all of your bits and pieces down here. So this is your freshwater tank. I can undo this little cap here if I want to, give you access to the inside of that if you wanted to clean it out, for example. Let's put that back on. This also gives you access to your freshwater drain, which is that little one down there. So if I turn that red dial so that it's facing in line with the pipe, basically all the water from the fresh tank would drain out underneath. That bit at the back there is your boiler, so that'll light up on gas, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Underneath here is your other drain, so you see the little yellow drain down the back there. So if you lifted that into its upright position, so it was vertical, that would drain out all of your boiler water, basically. All right, that's nice and simple. And then, like I said to you, to actually get this to go back, you need to push this lever down and then lift this back over and just push it down. One thing to point out is that when you do that, you will need to hold these up so that they're like this, because when you fold this over, they'll just stay there underneath, obviously. So I'll do that in a minute once we're not on the video still. You've got a couple of really handy lockers just here. So this one at the top here is just basically for knives and forks. But underneath there, you have actually got access to your gas locker from inside. Now the reason that's so handy is if you were outside and it was really raining or whatever, you can get to it without even opening the door. So you can get in there and switch your gas off like that, really nice and easily. So in my opinion, the Strada is one of the best laid out and clever vehicles I've ever seen. So yeah, it's really, really good that you got this one. Just loads and loads of storage underneath here, and your RCD. So if something bad was to be plugged in, or one of the appliances wanted to trip, then that's where it would do it, just from there. Your heating and hot water stuff is here, but I'll show you that in just a minute. So once you've got your pump switch on over there, you've got a submersible pump. So basically the pump will only run when you lift this up. That might sound silly to some people, but basically with a normal pump, or not a normal pump, but some pumps, they run off pressure. And so the pump will run on and run on until it gets the pressure. The good thing about this particular one, because it's the submersible pump, there's not really loads and loads of pressure around the van. So, you know, you're much less likely to get leaks, you know, here and there, because there's not loads of pressure. I mean, right now that I've switched that off, there's not really much pressure there at all. So the first thing you want to do, switch your pump on, come to your tap, and just make sure when you turn the tap to the left hand side towards the hot, when you lift it up, the pump runs and you get nice clear water coming out. Now actually that'll be, there you go, that's hot water. So I've had the hot water on for about 20 minutes now. You can probably see the steam coming off it. Switch that off, and then I'll just switch the hot water off for a minute. So that's what you want to do. So before you start messing about and turning your boiler on, you need to do that first. It's really important. Doing that basically proves to you that your boiler is full of water. And until you've done that, there's literally no way of knowing otherwise. So that's really helpful to do that. you've got a 3-burner hob up here at the top, so you will need an igniter of some sort to light all 3 of these up. You've got a little thing on the side of it which is called a thermocouple, which is this little prong of metal here. And what that does is, so basically if I turn one of these on and lit it up with a clicker, and then opened the back door up and the wind blew the flame out, the thermocouple recognises that, and it would stop after a certain amount of time. It would stop the gas from coming through, so it would stop you from being able to fill the van up with sort of unburned gas. So they've all been checked as part of the recent habitation check. So the grill underneath here is also just quite simple, but you need to press the button in and turn it with a clicker underneath there as well. And the fridge underneath that it works 3 ways. So you've got 12 volt on the left, mains electric, and gas, which is this side. So the electrical side of it is nice and simple. So the 12 volt will work when you start the engine up and start driving, and that just holds temperature. That won't get the fridge cold on its own, so you need to make sure the fridge is already cold, either via one of these two, so the 240 or the gas. So leave that one off until you start driving. The 240 volt, obviously you see there it's working at the moment. That's because the hookup's plugged in. So as soon as you put a hookup into the van, switch that on, the element in the back of the fridge will start cooling it down, and then after sort of a couple of hours or so you have cold fridge. And if you want to use it on gas, it is literally, so if I just switch it off, it's actually on gas now, so I'll switch it off. As soon as you switch it off, the igniter button starts flicking like that, and you can hear it as well. So switch that off. So if I switch it off on the mains as well, you don't have to, you can actually use it on mains and gas at the same time if you want to. But basically this is how you light it up on gas. Ignition switch goes on, push in around to the left, ignition stops, let go of this, and then once you've done that, you should be able to see, I mean, well, you can't see it now because I've had it on for about an hour or so, but you would normally be able to see a nice blue flame inside there. When you leave them on for a little while, they get really condensated inside and you can't actually see anything in it. But yeah, so there's either that way, or you can open up the back door and put your hand over that little vent that I showed you, and that would prove it to you as well. So yeah, gas off, ignition off. That's it, all done. So yeah, the 12 volt button, by the way, that's the same on all fridges. It's not this one particular fridge. It just basically, the 12 volt element is very similar to the 240, but it's just way smaller. So it can't get the fridge cold on its own. It just has to be cold already, either via the hookup or the gas. Like that. Okay? Right, so that's your fridge, grill, 3-burner hob, sink and tap, gas locker down there, and your sort of watery stuff down there. So the next bit, which is probably the most important part really, is your heating and hot water. So the Henry one on the left hand side here is your hot water. So assuming that you've already come in and checked that the water's full in the boiler by putting that hot side over, you can then just come here, switch the button on, and it is literally as simple as that. The boiler will light up, and after about 20 minutes or so, you'll have hot water coming out your taps. It could not be any easier than that. I wish they were all like that still, to be honest, but yeah, nice and simple. And then switch it off. If there was going to be an issue with this, which is unlikely, that you don't normally get any problems with these, but if there was going to be an issue, you might get a light come up on the middle, which there is just telling you that there's not enough power in the battery to start it. And if the flame doesn't quite light, the one at the bottom here will come on as well. Now, if the one at the bottom there comes up, it's unusual for the battery one to come on. If the one at the bottom comes on, the flame symbol, really don't worry about that. I would quite sort of confidently say that it probably means that you've not got your gas on, because I personally done the hab check on this one, and I know that from the very start, when I first lit this up, it was fine, you know, absolutely brilliant. So if that bottom one comes on, switch it off and try it again a couple of times. If it still doesn't work, double check your gas, make sure it's on. But yeah, yeah, they're just so simple, nice and easy. The carver, P4 is your heating. So a little bit more complicated. If you press this button on here, you see there you get a little flashing light on the little fan symbol. This is maximum power where this is facing now, and turning it all the way around to the back is minimum power. If I press this button again, you'll see it goes down to the flame. If I press it again, it goes down to the slightly bigger flame. So it is as simple as that. It is a small flame or a big flame. And then basically after sort of 10 minutes or so, you'll have nice hot air pumping out through the two vents around the van. So one of the vents is just down there behind where that's, you know, covering up at the moment. And the other one's in the bathroom, just inside there. If you want to switch it off, press the off button. And as long as you've pressed off on both of these, you're fine. It's all done. So that's your heating and hot water. In the cupboard here, there's just more bits and pieces for the awning. And obviously, just as usual, absolutely loads of storage. Like that. And then the bathroom. You got your shower up here. So that literally just goes down from this little dial here. It also pushes all the way in and makes into your little sort of basin there. And the toilet itself, really nice and simple. If you can pick it up with one hand, push down on the button to get the flush fluid pumping round. See that working there? And then turn it to empty it out into the cassette. Close like that. All right. The only thing I'll say about these toilets, you need to make sure that you have the cassette flap closed, so turn around to the right. For a couple of reasons. You'll get a really bad smell coming into the van if you don't, but also when you have it in the open position, that locks it up from outside. You will not be able to take it out, so you need to make sure that you have that in its closed position when you're finished with it. So that's that, nice and simple. I'll switch that light off. So just double check. I've shown you all your water stuff, heating and hot water, the fridge on 3 ways, showing your control panel, sink and tap, 3-burner hob grill. Okay, so I think I've pretty much shown you everything I can. The extra cushions to make up the bed are up the top there. But if you think there's anything I've missed out or anything you want covering again, just let us know. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Collect your van. Thanks very much.